Multiple Kashmiri journalists are working with local publications have resigned in the last couple of days. They have been accused as being informers and threats were issued against them by terrorist organizations. There is an FIR, there is a case that has been registered, and the police believes that this is the role of the Resistance Front, an offshoot of Lashkar-e-Toiba, and that is very much the case. CNN News 18 has exclusively accessed an intel dossier that details the entire plot. It's not just Pakistan and its proxies that are behind this murky nexus, behind this sinister plot targeting journalists in the Kashmir Valley. It is also a connection with Turkey that is now emerging. It's a sensational dossier that we've accessed for you here on CNN News 18, and I'm just going to put forth the details of what this dossier goes on to say, because remember, these threats have been coming to the fore to journalists in Jammu and Kashmir. There is a hit list allegedly that is also being investigated. Now, this is what the intel dossier goes on to say. First big revelation that has been made in this dossier is that terrorist Mukhtar Baba, the man who is behind this plot to threaten and intimidate journalists in Jammu and Kashmir, is the mastermind of this entire plot. He is an original resident of Srinagar, of Jammu and Kashmir, but has escaped to Turkey, all with the help of his masters across the border in Pakistan. We're also given to understand that Baba visits Pakistan very often from Turkey, and he is the kingpin of grooming youth, of radicalizing youth for terror activities and pushing them from Pakistan along the border into India. Another big revelation that this intel dossier that we've accessed makes is that the network of journalists has been built under the TRF banner, which is the terrorist organization. A hit list has been prepared by them, by Mukhtar Baba and several of his associates who have been identified now by these intel agencies. Another big revelation is that Mukhtar Baba is notorious for making these coercive means against journalists. He's done this in the past as well, against journalists, against media outlets as well, where he tries and compels them into pushing forth a narrative that suits his Pakistani masters. All efforts to push this narrative at the behest of hostile foreign agencies as well. So it's not just Pakistan. There perhaps are other agencies that are also involved, and that is under investigation, as this intel note goes on to show. There are specific media outlets that are fulfilling adversaries' agenda, is what the intel dossier is warning of. There are intimidation tactics for journalists as well, all of which needs to be cracked down on. That's the recommendation that is coming to the fore as this intel dossier makes these kind of big revelations. There are more than 6 associates of Mukhtar Baba that have been identified based on objective evidence. That is what this 3-page dossier that goes on to say, and a mega crackdown is expected very, very soon in the Kashmir Valley. This is the exclusive scoop that we have access for you. And the man who's done it for us, Anand Narasimhan, now joins us on this broadcast as well. Over to you, Anand.
Well, thank you. And this is a big development here in a mega CNN News 18 exclusive, ladies and gentlemen, that we've been able to access the dossier that blows the lid of who are these elements and who is the one who's orchestrating this. It comes out as a desperate attempt of a psyop, but this is being orchestrated out of Ankara in Turkey, and the man doing it is a Lashkar terrorist by the name of Mukhtar Baba. He's a 55-year-old. His antecedents, he was a resident of Srinagar itself in the 90s. He's also worked as a journalist, plied his wares as a journalist in Srinagar, so he has contacts even within the journalistic circles. And this man, Mukhtar Baba, is also infamous because he was a member of the Hezbollah in the 90s, but he was thrown out unceremoniously after he was found charged guilty of selling 40 AK-47 rifles to another terrorist outfit. Major General K.K. Sinha is joining us live at this point. The other aspect with this man Mukhtar Baba is that after in 2018 he has reportedly fled. He was arrested in between 2000 to 2018. He was also actively involved in the entire massive unrest that was stoked in 2010. He then fled. He was arrested. He got out a few months later. He has a considerable amount of clout and backing. He is closely linked with the ISI and also Pakistani elements. But more importantly, in 2018, he fled Jammu and Kashmir and fled to Turkey. He's operating out of Ankara, and he is in touch with a lot of local journalists also. There are local journalists who are still empathetic to him and also carry the secessionist intent, but they camouflage it. They are the ones who are driving certain skewed narratives, and these are the ones, these local journalists who have now been identified already, although their names are not being revealed at this point. These people, there are 5 of them, 5 or 6 of them. 2 have been identified specifically. There could be a very, very serious crackdown on these local journalists. They are the ones who have sent these names across to Mukhtar Baba, and then they have orchestrated this entire threat perception and going ahead and intimidating these journalists, and somewhere putting a certain amount of pressure. So and also then doctor the narrative to skew it in such a way that things are not, all is not well in Jammu and Kashmir. These are people who have not just held handcuffed journalism in Jammu and Kashmir, they have also ensured that only one particular kind of narrative is pushed, and it is done deliberately with a particular devious intent, which perhaps is beneficial to foreign agencies. And this man is a Lashkar terrorist, and he's now a Lashkar terrorist. He is somebody who's also got very close to the Pakistani establishment, because he has made frequent trips from Turkey to Pakistan. General K.K. Sinha is with us. General K.K. Sinha, so this entire plot now untravels. It's a mega CNN News 18 exclusive. We have accessed the entire collective dossier that's been put together with inputs not just from human int, but also tech int, and also intelligence that's coming from the central agencies. So this entire ecosystem which actually springs it. So who fires the bullet are perhaps instrument, but who orchestrates this entire mall, they have to be first cracked down. So there are local people, local elements, but the mastermind is a 55-year-old sitting over in Ankara.
Jai Hind, Narsimhan, very nice. You know, this is probably the first time when we are discussing the main menace in Jammu and Kashmir. The white collar terrorism, which I used to always mentioning it, and you are able to get the dossier and trying to break it. See, you know, generally in the last about 35 years, no one has speaking, you know, this menace of white collar terrorism. It has spread, you know, the way it has been compromised in Jammu and Kashmir, especially in 90s and thereafter. Only we will able to break it, and what you are bringing it out basically about the Mukhtar Baba, and we have, you know, actually we are knowing about him a long back, because he has got a very track record starting from 2000 onwards, carried on till by the time, you know, when the Buhan Wani was killed, and thereafter in 2018, and he crossed over. In his, you know, along with his colleagues, there are many. Now they have changed, and, you know, and they are trying to do it in the garb of overground worker for the TRF, the Total Resistance Front. It is nothing but the, you know, that is Lashkar, you know, the outfit, but it has got more other factions along with it. You know, the major, the overground workers is from Hizbul and Jamaat-e-Islami. What is important, what you are bringing it out now, the nexus between the Pakistan, Turkey and Jammu and Kashmir. You know, the things have shifted in Ankara. What you are saying is absolutely correct. They tried to do it, you know, the triangle, they wanted to make it initially Pakistan, Turkey and Malaysia. Malaysia somehow, you know, able to, you know, just, they didn't get it into it because they are very difficult to operate from the West Asia in other part of Middle East. So basically what you are saying, it is a very, very good thing, you know, because you have to expose it. And we know, and the establishment knows who are these white collar terrorists are. Now the younger generation, the younger lot of, you know, basically the threat is coming to them because somehow they are not with them. You know, someone who is covering and having the civic beat. They are being, you know, because they are working for the development of Jammu and Kashmir, trying to bring out the, you know, stories. So they are being targeted because in, you know, the main development issue, you know, which is actually, you know, influencing the mind of people to just set away this terrorism and join the mainstream. This, which is the tool they are now targeting it. So it is designed and very good coverage because you have got the dossier and you are bringing out this issue, and I am very happy about it.
Yes, sir. There are more inputs also coming at this point. But interestingly, Mukhtar Baba was involved even in the parliament attacks of 2001, we are given to understand. And that he is directly in touch. Somewhere these threads and these connects also go across to Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid of the ISI. Yana Mir with us. Yana Mir, so this is massive propaganda that is happening. This man, Mukhtar Baba, he is currently 55 years old. He is a Srinagar resident, but he fled or he left for Turkey, Ankara in 2018. That's what the dossier very clearly says. He is the one orchestrating all of this propaganda, and there are local journalists who are helping him.
Anand, because I joined the debate late, if I'm not mistaken, this is about the journalists who are getting threats. Am I right?
Yes, it is about the journalists getting threats. We've been able to access the dossier, which clearly collates all of this. There is a deep dive that's been done. Central agencies' inputs have been taken. There is a human int, tech int, all of this put together. This is how the entire ecosystem is working. That Mukhtar Baba sits there. He's been given some of the names by local journalists who he's in touch with, because Mukhtar Baba himself used to work with Greater Kashmir. He used to work with some of the other organizations also before he left for Ankara in 2018.
So please pardon the wild smile on my face. It's coming out because, I'm thinking of all that has happened in the past 4 or 5 years. The kind of noise the local journalists were making. Oh my God, Sana Irshad Mattu is not getting a right to travel. Look at the noise they all made for her.
Yeah.
Look at the noise they made for Masrat Zehra. Oh my God, she's like this brilliant, amazing journalist. She deserves the Pulitzer she got. She's our inspiration. Are these two even raising their voice for these journalists who are getting threats? Where are these two girls? And where are the rest of them for whom, when Fahad Shah was behind bars, look at the way, the young journalists of Kashmir were like, no, why is he behind bars? This is unfair. Kashmiri journalists are getting targeted.
Yes.
Now, where are these people who they used to stand up for? Where are their voices? Why are these journalists not raising their voices? So-called Sana Irshad Mattu and Masrat Zehra, why are they not raising their voices for these journalists who are under threat now? For the Kashmiri journalists who are under threat, where are their idols hiding now? And forget that. Look at all the noise they made when the Article 370 was abrogated. Look at the noise these journalists made. Oh my God, Article 370 has been abrogated. Our politicians are not getting respect. There is no elections happening in Jammu and Kashmir. Our politicians are being detained. Are these politicians raising their voice for the lives of these honest journalists of Kashmir? Where are these local politicians now? What kind of, is this a kind of approval that they're giving to the assassins, that you can go ahead and kill these journalists? Is this a kind of approval? Why are they silent? Why are they not raising their voice for these journalists who are facing death threats today? So, when I see that finally, these Kashmiri journalists who used to raise their voices for the politicians, for these journalists who have left the country and gone, who used to even support the ISI to this extent that some of them have been caught with grenades in their bags.
Yeah.
Right? Some journalists have been caught with ammunition in their bags. They were used to help in transporting material and logistics to the terrorists. They have gone to that extent to support some ideology of an Azad Kashmir.
True.
Now, when they realize that the tables have turned on them, now where will they go? Have they realized who's your own and who's not? Have they finally realized? I hope they have.
Well, let us do that. Let us hope they have, because there are more details. Now, what did this man, Mukhtar Baba, do? He joined, he was working with Masarat Alam, again a secessionist, led Muslim League. He was playing a pivotal role in the 2010 summer agitation, and this is all part of the dossier that I am reading out. He was notorious for his coercive means to compel journalists and media outlets in the valley to toe Pakistani and terrorist lines in reporting and opinions, and he's always been close to Pakistani agencies while being active here in Srinagar with several secessionist outfits. He was found to be active on social media, making out all efforts to push the narrative at the behest of hostile foreign agencies. And what else makes the dossier? This man, Mukhtar Baba, worked as a journalist in Greater Kashmir, Kashmir Observer, CNS and PVI earlier, and is very familiar with the media environment in Kashmir. Now, he remained in the Kot Balwal jail for some time in the 90s, and as per reports, he's been placed in Turkey sometime in 2018 by Joda Karen Fisher. This is a German national, an American national of German origin who was a deep asset of the ISI. She was a deep penetration asset of the ISI and operated in J&K for nearly 8 years before her cover was blown and she was forcibly deported out. So this is the level to which they were embedded in the system and they were trying to subvert the system from within. And now they are trying to do the same thing, create some kind of a mahal of uneasiness, and things are not stable because this Jammu and Kashmir narrative for or the status of Jammu and Kashmir post the abrogation of 370 and what is happening currently is unnerving because it is going to derail the last 4 decades of misinformation propaganda that they have tried to propel, the ISI and the Pakistanis. And General K.K. Sinha, this Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid's proximity comes to the fore. This man as DG ISI and now wanting to try and become the army chief. And he was somebody who's being pushed and also favored by Imran Khan. He was the one who landed in Kabul. Let's not forget this man and those people associated with him who are trying to orchestrate this on Indian soil. General K.K. Sinha.
Anand, Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid, if a man has to be, watched in Pakistan, is that, Faiz Hamid. Faiz Hamid has able to impress upon not only, Imran Khan, the way he came from the back door and the fourth of Imran Khan is entangled with it. Not that, in other way, but in a sense of keeping, everything in Afghanistan. He is the man in Afghanistan and also in Jammu and Kashmir. See, what he did it, Faiz Hamid, when he came through, Nusra Begum along, Imran Khan's links comes from there. And then the way the things that happen against Americans, everyone in Afghanistan, basically with, the faction which is working, that is in Pakistan of, Pakistan, the deep states, Pakistan functioning in Afghanistan. And a Haqqani network, which is both, and Haqqani network also came to, Jammu and Kashmir in some way or other. What you are bringing out in 2018, Sujat Bukhari was killed, if you remember. Yeah. He was the editor of the Rising Kashmir. That is the time the press club of, in Kashmir was shut down thereafter in 2019. The things, what basically changed and where the Faiz Hamid came into the being and it was brought by Imran Khan in a big way. He became, when the problem with Nadeem Anjum started with the Bajwa, he was put to the 11th Peshawar Corps. Yeah. Now he has gone to Bawalpur Corps, the 31 Corps. But the point, what you are bringing it out, which is a very, very.
What he wanted to do last year, he is trying right now. He has been sent away by Bajwa. He does not want to retire with Bajwa on the 27th. He has been sent to Bawalpur after his operations in Afghanistan last year. And these shootings of Kashmiri Pandits started to divert our forces last year in October, November. That's when he was shifted. But he's gone and put back into the hotbed of the terror groups that he created, of which he commanded one unit. He commanded that major back in 2611 in the late 2010 when Bombay attacks were going on. Why doesn't everyone look at who commanded that major, who commanded these, the Kasab and company who arrived in Bombay? The Congress government never investigated. Dossiers that should have been complete, which should have then handed over to the International Court of Justice, were never completed to the Home Ministry at the time when Mr. Chidambaram was carrying dossiers to tell the world how bad Pakistan had been. We personally used to push the government during those 3 days, carry out your police action across the state by letting your Indian Air Force bombard those launch pads. 3.5 days the attacks continued on Bombay. Our people, chudiya pehen ke baith gaye, did not let armed forces attack. Why doesn't Manmohan Singh answer why he didn't, under whose
well, Kartik Chopra, we are not going to, we're going to focus on the news break right now. Let's come back to Mukhtar Baba and the connections that he has with the ISI. Now, I just want to add additional, one second, Kartik Chopra, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
A businessman who is based in Kashmir, who funds journalists, who makes them create a narrative, and now the effort is to clean them up. The TRF is also a similar organization which is funded by this same businessman.
Yeah.
He is not in Turkey. He is not abroad. He travels between India everywhere.
Well,
this same man controls Dr. Mubin Shah, who was released recently. And where is Mubin Shah gone? All the way to Zakir Naik, his father-in-law in Malaysia. Mubin Shah controlled your entire cross-border contraband trade up till 5th August 2019. Under the pressure of Pramila Jaishankar, at the Democrat congressman, there was pressure put on government of India to release this man. Why was he released?
Well,
why was a man involved?
There are a lot of questions that have to be asked. There are a lot of questions, and there is a lot of information in public domain. We are going to stick with what is there in the dossier. Now, what is additional information that we've got is that Mukhtar Baba was in regular or has been in regular touch with Sajjad Gul. There are two Sajjad Guls, ladies and gentlemen. One Sajjad Gul who was arrested locally in Jammu and Kashmir around the murder of Shujat Bukhari. There is another Sajjad Gul based in Pakistan, and this person is the one who writes, who does the entire literature and the propaganda, communications propaganda of the Lashkar Front, the TRF. He's known, he's proficient in Adobe, Photostat, Photoshop, etc. And that's where these designs happen. And there are clear chat intercepts that Mukhtar Baba has been in touch with this entity, Sajjad Gul, who's nothing but a puppet of the ISI. So the clear Pakistani connection, which we had said yesterday, emerged as our investigations editor Manoj Gupta brought out the details. But this Pakistani connection extending into Ankara via Mukhtar Baba, 55-year-old, who has connections back in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, Kartik Chopra naming business persons, people who have a certain sphere of influence and a certain amount of control, who are also, he believes, in touch. But what we can tell you is there are 6 individuals whose names have been given in a sealed envelope. 2 of those people have been identified on ground. And the advice is not to wait for the known details of the remaining 4 and the locations of the remaining 4, but to immediately nab and crack down on these 2 individuals who have been identified. Their whereabouts have been identified on ground. Pick them up, question them, round them up, and get more details. Yeah.
Do not get diverted by these attacks which happen against individuals in the valley. Our forces are constantly getting diverted. Get our guys back to the borders. Cover Manitang Valley, cover Tosh Maidan top. Why was Tosh Maidan emptied from the army by removing the field firing range there for 6 years in the guise of tourism happening? And why has no tourism happened? Why has the forest contractor there built a Kacha road all the way to the top? Why does that road, when you come down the top, look at key vantage points across the entire valley at a distance of 8 to 10 to 12 kilometers as the shell flies across the whole valley? Why can you differentiate between a Punjabi-speaking fellow from the top of Manitang Valley and New Mirpur on the other side? We can. We Punjabis can. Can you differentiate between a Gujjar from Gulmarg or the other side of Tosh Maidan? Look at the terrain. Where are all the Bradleys which were captured by the Taliban in Pakistan? Where are those weapons? Why are Beretta P92s and AR-15s
Kartik, you have been somebody who's been constantly saying that we need to be really alert because we are on the cusp of something really big happening in that region and we should not be taken by surprise. Kartik, this is not the job. Kartik, what is happening right now as far as the crackdown on those who are trying to spread a narrative within the ecosystem is not a job of the armed forces. It's happening by the administration along with the police and the local intelligence that is happening. So we're going to focus. We're going to focus on that. General KK.
What happens, Anand, in Kashmir is the armed forces, police, and administration work cohesively together.
Yes, they do.
And that is what this government has been able to achieve after 2019. That this cohesive movement of intelligence sharing between all these departments has been able to help clear the valley and the state of so much of terrorism. Now, these people need to be able to focus on their core areas, which is for the army, the frontier, for the BSF, the frontier, for the CRPF for keeping peace, And for the JK police, after being cleaned out of these elements, which I said last year,
like I said, Kartik.
You know, you have one brother.
One sec, Kartik. I'm just saying you have raised the concern, and it is right that as an Indian citizen, as resident of Jammu and Kashmir, you must raise this concern. There are certain aspects which we cannot discuss on public domain, whether or not the agencies are already doing it or not. But General K.K. Sinha wanted to make a point. General K.K. Sinha, this man Mukhtar Baba, in touch with people in Jammu and Kashmir, there are those who are within the system right now, masquerading as journalists, masquerading as businessmen, masquerading as concerned citizens, who are actually sending out the names and hanging their own fellow Jammu and Kashmiri brothers and sisters to dry by saying that threaten them, intimidate them, exterminate them.
Yeah, Anand, we have to understand one thing. One is rhetoric. One thing, plethora of information. Plethora of informations are there. What is happening and what is the beauty which you are bringing it out is that basically the FIR. This is the first time FIR been launched under the UAPA and the anti-terror law. And you were able to segregate within overground workers of the TRF and the people who are the mastermind, what you are bringing it out. That is the linkages we all know. The linkages will be there with ISI, whoever it is. But the point is like this, after 2018, if you say after the Sujat Bukhari, that was actually the watershed on which the editor of the Rising Kashmir, when he was killed in June 2018. And that is the time also, but the peak was the Burhanwani, things. Now we are in 22, where everything is in the form of a dossier. Dossier has never, and I keep saying, this is the white-collar terrorism that has kept the terrorism alive. And we have not been speaking, we are shying away of speaking it, because these people round the clock got a time, even into the national media, coming to the capital and trying to say the things what they have to, no one can ever dare to say it. In the garb of freedom of expression, freedom of press, they were telling in national capital. And they got away.
Even they are allowed to meet the Pakistani ambassador.
Well, see, what we are going to do right now is focus on the fact that there are levels, at various levels we need to be cautious. But most importantly, we need to identify those elements who are actually provoking and putting out certain names as targets and creating this entire atmosphere that these journalists are anti-Jammu and Kashmir. See, if you don't toe the Pakistani narrative and you talk about India and the idea of India, you cannot be branded as traitors anymore. No. Their idea is to divert our security forces from their real task. That is not happening, Kartik. That's not. I'm just saying that is not. Whatever is their idea, that is not happening on ground. There is clear within 24 hours of the news coming out that these people are being threatened. There is clear naming of the elements who are involved. 6 people have been identified. The crackdown will happen on ground. I thank all our guests. We'll take this story forward continuously here on CNN News 18, a mega CNN News 18 exclusive news break here. We're getting you the dossier itself that's been prepared on who are these elements who are threatening Indian citizens from sitting and operating on foreign soil, towing the narrative of the enemy. Back to you.